The future of ICD-10. I know that everybody gets really nervous when they hear about ICD-10. Actually, if you're a student now, I think it should be kind of exciting because you're right at the beginning of history, I guess you could say it. But two things. There's going to be a lot of people that are coders or have been a coder for a long time, and you know, sometimes you don't stop coding until you die because it's something that you can keep going. Well, ICD-10 is going to change some of that. Some people are going to say, you know what, I think I'll retire. I don't want to learn something new. So for all of you new coders, this is a really great time for you to get into coding. But it's not going to be so scary. When should you start to study for ICD-10? Is there anything I can do now to get ready, or should I wait for everything to switch over? What I would tell you is start getting used to relearning your Aapc and your terminology. What ICD-10 actually has done is one of the ways they've made it easier for the coder is they've expanded the descriptions. So if you had one code for a procedure, say a fracture of the femur, and so you would say fracture of the femur, open or closed. Well, you know, so you would have two code choices. Now you're going to have maybe 4 or 5 or more because they're going to say fracture of the femur, open or closed, medial, distal, the little protrusions or the bones off the little curves off the top ends of the femur that look like little balls. Those have a name, and I can't remember off the top of my head what they are. But if it's close to that or that part of the femur is broken, it's going to be labeled that. Whereas before you had 2 choices: fractured femur, open and closed. So your doctor is going to document better, or they'll tell you that where the fracture is, and you'll be able to specifically show where that fracture is with your ICD-10 code. Another thing that they've added that's going to be really nice for the coders is that you're going to have prefixes and suffixes on ICD-10. So you'll be able to tell whether it is a subsequent or an initial visit. These are just little things that you'll learn as you're learning ICD-10. But it's not going to be scary, so I don't want you to worry about that. What do you need to do now? You need to start learning your anatomy and physiology and make sure that that terminology is really good because it's going to play a big part of ICD-10. I would say that if you're going to decide when you're going to test, that's what you need to know. Are you going to test in ICD-10 or you're going to test in ICD-9? The switchover doesn't happen now until October 2014, so that's something to consider. Mm-hmm. That second question, I want to know what are my options for learning ICD-10. That does not require going to college. Well, you don't have to go to college to be a coder, which is kind of a great job to have for not having a degree. If you choose to go that way, you can make real good money. But college does, of course, help because sometimes they give you the anatomy and the physiology and stuff like that included. But there's courses like what we have here at CCO that you can actually learn ICD-10. There's some books out there that you can get that you can learn on your own if you're already a coder that might help you if you're diligent enough to do it on your own. If you're not, take a course. But you don't have to go to college to learn how to do ICD-10. Do you think people can self-teach themselves? Again, yes, you can. But there's several helpful things out there on the web. But if you really want to know the ins and outs, I would plan on taking a course. Don't have to go to college, but you need to take a course. Once people learn about ICD-10, do they have to retake any medical coding certifications exams with Ahima or the Aapc? Yes, you do. With the Aapc, if you have certified and are ICD-9, when it switches over in October of 2014, you have 2 years to take another exam, which I think off the top of my head, I think is 60 questions. and it's online. It's not very expensive. I can't remember again. I think it's like $60 to take that. There's a link Laureen's putting up now. It's at the bottom, but it tells you, it's at the very bottom of that page that was the link. It's a very long page too. That will tell you what Ahima requires. Excuse me, no, this is the AAPC. Yeah. What they require. And again, it's not really going to be intimidating at all for you. I would suggest, though, if you're thinking about getting certified, do it before ICD-10, because everybody's going to be nervous, and just get it out of the way. I think it's a little farther down.
And Pansy is asking in the question box here, when are we going to see ICD-10 on the test? Did you say October 2014?
Yes, October 2014 is the official switch. And so that's when you'll be able, as of that date, and when you get a CPC exam, it'll be an ICD-10, not an ICD-9.
And there's no other questions before that, is that correct?
Correct. It'll be, there's no grandfathering in of the exams. If you sign up for it and you plan to test on October 14th, 2014, it will be ICD-10. The month before that, it'll be ICD-9. There's, let's see. There you go. Those bullets on the bottom. It states, oops, it disappeared again. I think it went back to, okay. Required for the AAPC, you want 2 years. Now, this is a suggestion. This is what they're saying that they would like for you to have. 2 years, or no, I'm sorry. That was for experience. 2 years to take and pass the assessment beginning October, and that's supposed to say 2014. So, that means you have 2 years to take this little test that they're going to give you to make sure that you are qualified to do ICD-10. There's 75 questions. It's open book, online, and unproctored. So you could be at work. Your work would let you do that. You get your books out, and you go in and you take a 75-question test. Coders will have 2 attempts, just like AAPC usually gives, of passing this for a $60 administration fee. That probably has something to do with the online. ICD-10 only will not, see the ICD-10 PCS, which is procedural coding, that's more for inpatient coders, that's not covered. It's only ICD-10 CM, with the clinical modifications. And you do not get CEUs for taking this test. Now with Ahima, I looked, couldn't find a good screen to show you, but from what I understand with Ahima, they're going to have you do CEUs to qualify. So you'll have to take the CEU course, and then in most CEU courses they have an exam, and you take the exam, and you have to go through so many of these courses before you get transferred into ICD-10 for your certification. So again, it's not scary. It's not, it's going to be easy. There's going to be lots of courses. Laureen's going to give a little mini course for people who are already certified, and then, of course, we'll switch over to ICD-10 when the time comes with our textbooks. We'll also keep in mind that the books that we use now for the step-by-step with Carol Buck, it has, I think, 4 or 5 chapters in ICD-10 already. So it's, if you're already taking the course or you're planning on taking the course that Laureen offers right now, the books that you have will get you prepped for ICD-10, get you familiar with the way it's set up. And we've got another poll. There you go. How many would be interested in the mini course for ICD-10?
We'll be doing a full course eventually. That's probably going to be more geared toward those preparing for the CCS, like the inpatient, because as you know, ICD is very important to inpatient coders. But what we need for physician-based coders is something not so comprehensive, but yet not just like a 90-minute, deal. So I figured it'll probably be the length of how our medical terminology course is, so about 40 hours. Did they all answer? Oh, well.
Wow, that's impressive. Good to know.
So 96% said, heck yeah, okay. So we'll get to work on that right away. So we just finished.
We aim to please.
We just finished our medical terminology recording, so we'll get working on that. So appreciate the enthusiasm over that, especially when there's a gazillion people out there teaching ICD-10. So
get more CPC exam tips, coding certification training, and CEU credits. go to www.codingcertification.org.